I would like to thank one of my subscribers, Farron 299, for this story from NPR. Another break from the past. Government will help churches pay pastor salaries. So Pastor Porkchop may get paid by this government after all, y'all. Mm-mm-mm. So this is April 6, 2020, in a development that could challenge the Constitution's prohibition of any law respecting an establishment of religion. The federal government will soon provide money directly to U.S. churches to help them pay pastor salaries and utility bills. A key part of the $2 trillion economic relief legislation enacted last month includes about $350 billion for the Small Business Administration to extend loans to small businesses facing financial difficulties as a result of CV shutdown orders. Churches and other faith based organizations classified as businesses qualify for aid under the program, even if they have an exclusively religious orientation. Faith based organizations are eligible to receive SBA loans regardless of whether they provide secular social services, the SBA said in a statement. No otherwise eligible organization will be disqualified from receiving a loan because of the religious nature, religious identity, or religious speech of the organization. Churches have been especially hard hit by shutdown orders because many of them rely on weekly offerings that are no longer being collected. Yes, they are. Many of these pastors are trying to do online services and use things like PayPal and Cash App to, gather money from their congregations. And I guess some of them are dumb enough to go online and do these things. There is a portion of the revenue that just by virtue of people's habits and practices doesn't come back. Vice President Pence reportedly said in a recent conference call with U.S. pastors. In introducing the new SBA program, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said Pence and the president made sure that churches would be included in the program. So these pastors are getting money, even if it's not directly from their congregation. The federal government is making sure they pay them their salaries and make sure the utility bills are paid up at the church. Wow. Well, they're certainly making sure these pastors are being provided for. They are the most useless businesses in the country as far as I'm concerned. Under the Trump administration, the federal government has already been providing funds directly to churches, synagogues, mosques, and other religious organizations, all shut down by CV. All shut down by CV. If these organizations had real power, they would never have had to close in the first place. In 2018, the Federal Emergency Management Agency changed its rules to make houses of worship eligible for disaster aid. The new SBA program, however, takes federal funding of religious institutions significantly further. Under the new Paycheck Protection Program, also they got that right, but the citizens just get a one-time $1,200 payment But pastors, they get a regular salary from the federal government. Man, talk about not taking care of your people. Businesses with fewer than 500 employees, including faith-based organizations, are eligible to receive loans up to $10 million, with at least 75% of the money going to cover payroll costs. The loans are in part forgivable. So they get a loan that's forgivable, y'all. In the meantime, you got Canada that's giving everybody $2,000 a month. Wow. So churches and other houses of worship won't have to worry about paying all the money back. So they can literally take a loan out for up to $10 million, y'all, and be forgiven and not pay a dime back. But the citizens get $1,200 one time. And even if they gave it to you 2 times, is that enough? It's not enough for anybody. It's just amazing how it is the money from the citizens that pay into taxes in this country. And at the end of the day, we get the short end of everything. So now these begging pastors will get paid and they can get loans and be completely forgiven for the loan and never have to pay it back. How about forgiving the citizens on their loans or whatever they owe? Wow, these people are too much. All right, y'all, there is some audio that I want to play for you. Let me see if there's one of their.
From NPR sponsor Walden University.
All right,
and Walden.
After this. But I mean, it's amazing how they can do for everybody else except for the everyday man, woman, and child in this country.
Online doctoral programs at waldenu.edu/doc.
The $2 trillion economic relief legislation enacted last month is a virtually unprecedented government intervention into the U.S. economy. One especially notable feature, taxpayer dollars will go directly to financially troubled churches and other religious organizations. That provision raises the question of whether the separation of church and state has been weakened. Joining me now is NPR's Tom Gelton. Hey there, Tom.
Hi, Mary Louise.
Hey, so what exactly are we talking about here? How exactly will the stimulus bill aid churches?
So it includes about $350 billion for the Small Business Administration to provide loans for small businesses, mainly to help them meet their payroll and pay their utility bills. And what's new is that nonprofit organizations, including churches and other religious organizations, under the legislation are actually treated as businesses. So the federal government will be able to extend these loans to churches, mainly to help them pay pastors' salaries. And some of that loan money can actually be forgiven. They won't have to pay it back.
And how did this get in there, Tom? The government money going to churches?
Well, keep in mind that churches have been really hard hit with this coronavirus shutdown, so many of them closing, and smaller ones in particular depend on weekly offerings for their revenue. Big churches have moved more to online giving, but some small churches are actually facing bankruptcy. And this came up on a call that Vice President Pence had with pastors recently. He told them the administration is very concerned about the economic impact this is having on churches. And when Treasury Secretary Mnuchin announced this program last week, he made clear the idea of giving money to churches came straight from the White House.
Still, though, I called this virtually unprecedented in the intro. Government paying pastors' salaries? I mean, I can't think of anything like this before.
There isn't anything like this. Now, the federal government actually at least under this administration, has made some moves toward giving money to churches. For example, 2 years ago, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, changed its rules to allow churches to get grants to help them rebuild after natural disasters. But as far as the SBA is concerned, this is totally new in two different ways. First of all, the SBA has always given money only to for-profit institutions, not nonprofits. And even where for-profit businesses are concerned, any religiously oriented business was not eligible. So this is new, and not surprisingly, it's causing some people to say the First Amendment to the Constitution is in jeopardy. That's the part that says that the Congress can't establish a religion.
Right. And to the concerns we mentioned about separation of church and state,
Right.
Where does this go? Will there be a constitutional fight?
You know, I raised that question with a law professor I know, John Inazu. He teaches religion law at Washington University Law School. He said you have to consider this in the context of what the Supreme Court has already been ruling in this area.
In the last 15 years, the court has moved increasingly in a permissive direction of government funding of religious institutions. We've seen past eras where the arrangement has been different. There's an increased willingness by the court to allow for direct funding of religious entities.
So this is just one more move in that direction, Mary Louise, but whether there'll be a court case on this program is not clear, because to challenge it, somebody would have to show they have legal standing, to show they'd be injured by it. And that can be hard to demonstrate.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
You bet.
NPR's Tom Gilton.
Y'all hear that?
The $2 trillion.
Oh my goodness. So they are bypassing the Constitution and they are paying these pastors. Ladies and gentlemen, this just go to show you these laws and the Constitution might as well be written in crayon at the end of the day, because they don't even follow their own laws. And that's what makes the whole thing laughable. These people got laws and constitutions and all kinds of things. And then at the end of the day, they'll forego it or just completely ignore it and do whatever they want. So what's the point in even having a damn thing in the first place? Waste of time. But y'all, please tell me what you think about the pastors will get a salary from the government and get their utility bills paid for at their churches. Plus, remember, many of these people are still doing services online, so they're getting money from their congregations too. This is unbelievable. But remember, all they want to give you is $1,200. That's it. And there are more and more countries that are giving monthly payments to their citizens. But no, not the good old USA. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.